Every creator needs to have a digital product. Any information that you have that you can package up, it could be a blueprint, checklist, it can be an ebook, it can be a mini course, it can be a regular course. And now you got products that you can sell.
We're living in a time where everyone has the permission to build their own stage. We just posted a podcast a couple of weeks ago, got 55,000 views.
Everyone that comes on a show, why they coming on the show? Because they want the content. So if you just took all of that and just put it in a folder, that's a VIP package. They can leave with the content. So now you could charge $350, $500 depending on, you know, your level of production with your podcast, $1,000 for all the files. They need the content anyway. No one's doing that, bro. I would pay for that.
But if you have all these different things, the offers, the products, the digital products you make, how do you tactfully sell that, like, strategically?
100%. So I got two answers to that. So the first answer I have is,
bro, so excited to have you on the podcast. Hey, Department fam, welcome in the comments. Brenden Boyd, my man.
What's up, bro? I'm excited to be here, man.
I think something you have a gift at is helping people find the money in their content. And, you know, there's so much content out there and podcasts talking about ways to monetize what you're doing online, which I'll get there. But I think what I want to give people right out the jump is, if you're already creating content consistently, how can you productize your content or create offers around content you're already creating, whether that's posting consistent on YouTube, maybe you've been on podcasts before and things like that. I think you're just really good at finding that opportunities.
Before we go into that, can I say something real quick?
No, go into that.
Publicly?
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Bro, I'm proud of you, bro.
Thanks.
I'm proud of you. I remember us just meeting maybe 3 years ago. I didn't even know who Omar was, but he was making a lot of content about production.
Yep.
And I just gravitated towards it because you're so knowledgeable, but then the energy, but then I felt like, and it's nothing against like Sean or anything, but I felt like in that business, I felt like all the shine was kind of going on Sean. And then it was like, you were the one like doing all the videos. So I was like, man, who is this dude? I started watching all the videos. I'm like, yo, I gotta talk to this guy. Like this dude's super knowledgeable. So anyway, fast forward.
No, it's wild.
Right, fast forward. You're in a brand new spot. I know prior to that, we were talking about mindset a lot, mindset and money. And I feel now like that's been broken. You know what I mean? So I just want to say, bro, I'm super proud of you. I'm happy to call you a friend. And we've been getting money, you know what I'm saying, together a couple of years, and we're continuing to do that. So I'm excited. I feel like real friendships, that shit also happens.
Yeah, no, dude. And what's cool about when you meet somebody, you know, in your industry or somebody that's building at the same time as you, I think what's cool is just doing business together.
That is true.
And I texted you this because, like, full disclosure, Brenden has helped me find paid guests for my podcast, which I know people that travel and speak, and they don't. Either they don't charge at all because you just want to get on a stage, but people are paying me to come to me, and I don't even charge the price that I charge to be on this podcast to speak. Yeah, you know, I don't.
So I guess we need to
dial
that in a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. But I think what's cool is, like, this is what I mean by you're good at finding opportunity, and business is beautiful. This was the text I said. Business is beautiful when everybody wins.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I know by listening to this podcast or watching it, you're going to win, because especially if you're doing the work. Most people I found are they're already doing the work. They just they're not maximizing the work they're already doing.
Yeah, 100%. They're not maximizing and optimizing. And I think now's a good pivot to kind of answer your question.
Yeah.
So we got that out the way.
Okay, cool.
Good
Appreciate
to see you, bro. You know what I'm saying? So now when it comes to monetization, and let me know if I kind of go off course a little bit, but when it comes to monetization, I got into the podcast space creating content, but it wasn't to monetize. It was literally to like have conversations like this, because I realized that if I ask someone to go to lunch, or if I wanted to know something that someone already knew, but I want to just talk to them about it, I would get way more resistance. You know what I mean? But when you lead with something, people are way more open to connect with you. But when you lead with a podcast or an interview, even a street interview, there's literally no resistance. You're gonna get 9.5 out of 10 people saying yes. So that's kind of how it got in the game. Now, as I started doing more and more podcasts, that's when I started to realize the opportunities, because I come from a marketing background. So it was like, okay, cool. You got to have a product. Most podcasters don't have a product, and we could talk about the different layers of products.
It's just creators too. They're creating 100%. Content with nothing, and that's fine because you're trying to determine what your product is.
But they may want to get monetized for the views. I think I think that ends up being the first North
They're trying to be paid by Google.
100%. Yeah, and that's not really it, because you can't quantify that. And if you're not doing it consistently, and if you're not in the right lane, there's a lot of different variables for your content to really be crazy, for you to grow a channel, for you to actually get paid.
Yeah. I can't, I could not, and you could take it from me. Like I've had really good months on YouTube, but there's no way I could build a life on the AdSense that Google pays.
100%.
Yeah. So making that the goal is the wrong goal.
That's the wrong goal. Yeah. And that's initially how I first started speaking on it. I'm like, yo, if you making a podcast like this or a YouTube channel like this is the wrong way to go.
Yep.
Right. So, cause you need a product, and I have a 4-step framework. So I feel like every creator needs to have a digital product. That's number one. That's like,
define what a digital product is.
So a digital product would be any information that you have that you could package up into, let's say, a PDF. But it could be a blueprint, checklist. It can be an ebook. It can be a mini course. It can be a regular course. It can be a template, swipe files. There's just so many. It can even be audio, right? Anything that you can turn into digital, and you can share it, email it, text it out, put it into a PDF, an MP3, MP4. It's essentially a digital product.
Yep.
So you can monetize that. If you don't know how to do that, we can send them on this podcast a link to get a one-click ebook prompt that you can use on ChatGPT. They can literally put in the subject, how many chapters they want on this subject, how many words they want in each chapter, intro, outro, hit enter, and it'll spit them out a book. So you could start there.
That's good.
Also, like
how much could you just speak to pricing? Like how
for an ebook?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say? Like, how do you price an ebook?
So I think right now a good price is probably like $37.
Why?
I think 37 is good, because I like the $47 number, but that might not be comfortable for people. So I think 37 is good, because 37 is not $40, right? You're not asking for 40. You can put a lot of information in the ebook and you can get it to them quick. So $40 is good for you, because it's going to instill some confidence if you never sold anything before, right? So I think 37 is good. Worst case scenario, 27. I think if you go lower than that, then it's like you're not. It's not enough.
I have a friend selling a $7 kind of like thing.
Yeah.
He likes the fact that he's now making sales with their audience, but like again,
$7 is too small.
Yeah.
And $7 is fine if you have a strategy to go along with it. But if $7 is independently, this is the only product you have, again, it's going to be tough journey for you to get to that 10K. Let's say your North Star was 10K a month. It's going to be a while for you to get there just off of that product. But what you can do is you can take that $37 ebook, and then you can just turn it into, let's say, a mini course, because you can now put videos to it. You can summarize each chapter, right, and record yourself. And now you can charge $297, $497, even $997 for the same thing. It's the same information.
Yeah.
Right. So now you're going to have two products. So every podcaster, YouTuber, creator should at least have, digital products, at least an ebook, and then that same information transcribed into a course, right? That actually solves a problem. And now you got two products that you can sell.
That's good.
Outside of that is what I like to call a VIP package, because everyone that comes on a show, why they coming on a show? Because they want the content. What are most people not going to do? They're not going to even watch their podcast episode once it comes out. I mean, it's just a fact. They're not going to rewatch it. They want clips, but they're not going to make clips unless you give them the clips, right? And they're not even going to repurpose the content on their own channel if they have a YouTube channel. And if they have a product and service, they're more than likely not going to have a commercial shot for them. So if you just took all of that and just put it in a folder, like a content folder, and then just sold it to them, that's a VIP package. They can lead with the content. So now you could charge $350, $500, depending on, your level of production with your podcast, $1,000 for all the files. Some of them raw, most of them edited and ready to go. I would pay for that.
Yeah.
Because I'm a business owner and I know how valuable my content is.
Yep.
I can make money on that.
Dude, it's funny because, and this just shows how internal we all are as just people. We're just like so self-consumed. But people are literally learning how to use cameras. Yeah. Setting up lights. That's why you found probably me on a Think Media video once.
That's true.
Yeah. But what you're not realizing is you're actually, by you going first, you're actually creating a space so somebody doesn't have to do that work And you literally, like, if you have the setup, you have the ability to pop out an agency. Is that what you're saying? Is essentially like an offer that you get somebody to sit down in a chair and you interview them, and then you give them that information?
Yeah, 100%.
So, and then that pays for the equipment that you just bought.
Yeah.
And then you could turn it into, and just my brain's going now, but like a membership thing. Like, what if we just did this once a month? And let's just call it good at like $750 or $1,000 a month.
I'll sit down. We make content. Be conversational.
Yep.
You have new content every single month.
You don't have to like look into the camera.
You don't gotta look into the camera.
Yeah.
You don't even gotta like do any scripting. I'll ask you all the questions.
Yeah. It's so good.
100% right. But the great thing about this is, if you have a podcast and you're on the fence about charging, like, I would like to charge a guest, or I would like to have, but it feels uncomfortable for you, or you're not confident enough, you can use this VIP package of a way to monetize a free guest, right? Because you might sit down with the individual and be like, hey, Brenden, we're going to have all your files together. We'll shoot a commercial for you right here, so before, to promote your life insurance company, whatever you got going on. And you can leave with all the files. It's only going to be $450. Do you want to upgrade to that?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Really
what
cool.
am I be like? No, of course I want that.
Yeah.
Right. So you might get 50% of your guests that might take it, but all you need to do is offer it.
So good.
Like, there's nothing.
And I don't think there's, I'm starting to feel a resistance from people like that's like, they've been on the show, but it's going to cost either you, the creator, the time to cut it up, or you're probably going to pay somebody to do it.
But it's really a bonus, because to give you a little bit of resistance on that, they're not going to do it though.
Right.
They're not. There's only going to be maybe like 2% of your guests that are like, all right, Omar, when can I get the folder, or when the podcast drops, give me the link. I'm going to take the link. I'll download it myself. My team will chop it up. I'm going to repost it on my YouTube channel. I'm going to put my commercials in it. I'm going to make sure I have a call to action. I got 20 clips that I could put on my social media channels, right? With mini chat call to action, sending them all to my main thing, which could be a master class. It could be a challenge. It could be a book a call.
Yep.
No one's doing that, bro.
No,
So if you just offer it, not saying you, but you.
Yeah.
If you just offer it, right? Now you have an offer that you don't have to feel uncomfortable about, mentioning it to your guests that you're bringing on a show for free, and they need the content anyway.
Yeah.
Right. I think the money becomes a thing because people look at, like, if I ask for the money, then I'm being a bother, or you know what, I'm just used to just people doing it for free. But I feel like this. You can let me know. You can let me know how you feel. I feel like if a guest intentionally comes on your show that has an offer to sell, doesn't want to pay, right, and then wants to talk about what they got going on for 60 minutes and doesn't want to take the content, I feel like they stole from you.
That's good.
I feel like that's theft.
Yeah.
Right? Because I gave you a way to come on the show. You didn't want to pay the fee. Cool. I gave you a way for you to leave with your content. You didn't want to pay for that. Fine. But you want your podcast released on a certain day. You want to talk about what you want to talk about. Right? You want to put your call to action in it, and then you want it dropped on a certain date. That's theft, because you robbed me of my time, and then you used up, this content, this digital format that could be saved for someone else that would really appreciate it.
Yeah. Because
there's no reciprocity, right? It's not equally yoked. Everyone's not winning right there.
Yeah. That ain't a beautiful business.
That's not beautiful business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I love it. It's so good. And I even think, like, what's cool is a lot of the things you're talking about is, like, you can use AI to get the stuff going. So you don't have to have the heavy lifting. Like, use the AI to write the ebook, use the AI to develop the questions for that person.
100%. Yeah.
And then also use your own personal curiosities, because that always works well. Like, if you actually care about the subject matter and want to dig that out. But something I thought, and I know you said digital products.
Yeah.
But what's cool is, like, you also can just self-publish that ebook into a physical thing.
See, that's the thing. We ain't talking about all the things we could do with it.
Yeah.
But 100%, I would definitely do that. And if you're someone that, peep this, like, if you're someone that's going to speak, which I feel like we'll talk about later, but if you're someone that's going to speak, or if you got a mobile podcast, imagine if you go to an event, you have your books with you, right? You can either give them away for free as a lead magnet, or you have another product to sell. So they're going to come to you, they're going to be interviewed, you got your books out. Now you're able to add on another product. And if I'm having a good time with you, most people that go to events, if they really do good business, they want to support you.
Right.
They're looking for a way to give you some money. Sometimes I just buy merch just because, Omar was at the event. I vibe with him. Oh, you got a hat? Oh yeah, let me get that hat.
Yeah. No, it's really good.
You know?
And I had Daniel Priestley on a couple episodes ago, and I love what he says, when you author a book, it gives you authority.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think we have to sit down and craft these crazy. I think there's a day for that. Like for most of us, there's a day for us to write this like incredible book, but just having a book around the subject matter that you are really good at speaking on and you've already created the content for, like might as well. I'm sleeping. I'm just straight up. I'm sleeping on turning my web class that has converted so much in the last, 7-8 months, turning my web class into a book.
Bro, there's so many things you can do with your web class. So obviously you got the book. You got a course for it?
I don't have like a course for it now.
All right, so you got a book, you got a course, you got an audio book, right? You can turn it into an animation if you want.
Dang.
Right? Another cool thing I'm about to do is you could take it, like you can go on the department tour and you can take your IP from your web class and go to, let's say you looked at your analytics, what are the top 5, 6, 7 cities that are tuned into the department. You can go to those classes and you can go to those states and you can do your web class live.
Good.
With a live podcast, with a live audience. And they're gonna get the live podcast and a live web class. And then obviously you have your offers on that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, it's really good.
There's just so many things you can do. And then the merch.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Something that comes to mind is like too many options. So how do you encourage creators, entrepreneurs? Because like sometimes I feel like if you can't pick one place to send people, but if you have all these different things, like how do you tactfully sell the things, the offers, the products, the digital products you make? How do you tactfully sell that like strategically?
100%. So I got two answers to that. So the first answer I have is I also like more is more. So like one of my favorite artists, he's not even one of my favorite artists because of necessarily he's the best rapper and he's dope.
Who are we talking about?
But I love his entrepreneurship and his business. I'm talking about La Russell.
Okay.
So La Russell dropped 34 albums, bro. Independent. You know what I'm saying? And he has business built all around it, or around them all, from like, you can pay me what you can pay me versus to doing a live show, free show, you know what I'm saying? And then obviously having things to monetize. So I love that. But that's not for everyone. That might be once you got your systems down, you got a team, you got a process, and you have your goal, you know how to kind of put in the more is more part, right? But when it comes to I'm not being overwhelmed, I think, what's your campaign? So I kind of talked about this in my new workshop, Speak More, Make More. So what's your campaign? What are you championing for, let's say, for the year? So if I'm championing for the year, let's say, okay, let's just keep it within the same lane. Speak more, make more. So what's the flow? What's my customer journey? Okay, speak more, make more. I'm going to be breaking it down into content, be talking about it on a podcast, be going on podcasts, emails, text messages, right? Just creating content and energy around it. Number one, to draw. Then I'm going to send people, let's say I send them to this workshop. Once they come to the workshop, let's say I'm doing 6 weeks of workshops, and at the end of each workshop, I'm selling tickets to a challenge or an online event. Once they get to the online event, then we're going to do that for 4 days, 5 days. Then I'm going to send them to what I like to call an execution event, right? So it's not going to be motivation all days. You're going to come in, everything that you learn in this challenge, this online event, we're going to make sure you leave with it done. The only way you're not going to have it done is if you ain't doing nothing or if you don't show up. And then from there, then it's a mentorship, or maybe it's, additional support. That's the campaign. Now, everything that you do that might be outside of that might just be to aiding that. Like, okay, maybe I'm going to make a workbook, or maybe I'm going to expand on the ebook. Or if I don't have an ebook, maybe I'll make an ebook to support that. Maybe I'll do a collaboration. Let's say I'm going to do a pop-up event because we talked about the tour. Hey, I got a tour date in Vegas. I'm going to be collaborating with Omar. He's going to be teaching you all the back-end video and conceptually how to be the best in front of the camera. But I'm going to be giving you the marketing and also how you speak more. But it's still in line with that campaign. You know what I'm saying? So now we have our customer journey, and then we're just going to rinse and repeat it. How many times can we do this in a year? That might be 4 cycles. Could be 5 cycles, whatever that is, but it's all in line in the campaign. So it's not random.
That's good.
It's like, if I'm on this podcast, if I'm shooting my podcast, I'm still sending people to my flow, my call to action. If I'm on a podcast, I'm still sending people to that flow. And if I'm making content, I'm still sending people to that flow. You know what I'm saying? If I'm
all roads lead to
all
X.
road leads to
Yep.
this main thing.
Yeah.
Because this is my campaign for the year. And if I do anything on top of that, I'm still sending people there. And that's why I like La Russell. So it's like he's done 34 albums. But if you think about collaborations, where are the new artists, bro? Entrepreneurs, where are the new Drakes and Kendricks?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I can collaborate with you, right, on a whole ebook, course, live event, and it could just be that. Then I can collaborate with Art on an ebook, live event, course. You know what I'm saying? Boom.
Yeah.
I can collaborate with the people that I like. It's kind of like Drake doing the Future album or Drake doing the album with 21.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or people that have done collaborative albums together. Where are the new artists?
Yeah.
Where the new musicians? The entrepreneurs actually hold. You can run the same plays that musicians won't run because they're really just creatives.
Right.
But you're really an artist and a creative as long as you have the mind and you got the marketing. You know what I'm saying? So
good.
I would say either if you got the systems and the structure in the team, I would keep producing. But if you're like, I just want to make sure that I stay focused and lean, I would just figure out what your campaign is and then just run your cycle.
That's good. What do you think about stand stores?
I like stand stores. You mean as a great place for your digital products?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think if you can get a system like Go High Level and everything can be integrated, I think that's cool. But if you just need to get something off, like I just need to get something going, I like stand store. I like Gumroad, like places like that where it's like they're not going to charge you to upload your digital products. You can get some transactions right now.
Yep.
Build that confidence. Like, wow, I just sold a $37 ebook. I made it on ChatGPT and made some edits to it. Wow, I guess Omar wasn't wrong. I guess that guy Brenden, he knows something about something. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I like Stan.
That's fire.
Yeah.
Okay. You talk about sponsoring episodes or adding your own ad in a video.
So smart.
Okay. So do you have a framework on how to do that without getting people to actually care?
When you say getting people to care, what do you mean?
I mean, I throw an ad in every podcast to my challenge.
100%.
And we'll change it from time to time. Maybe like every 6 months we'll swap it out, make a fresh one.
Yeah.
But I mean, like somebody's listening or watching this and they have not created a 30-second ad.
Yeah.
How would you just make it in a way? Because I did a coach call before you came and, I saw one of the guys' ads and it was just very, I'm doing this. This is why I think you should have it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But how would you, I guess
framework.
A script,
framework.
A script for a good ad. How do you create a great ad for your content?
100%. So the first thing I would say is, if you're someone that's going to be consistently guesting on a pod, you should come to the podcast with your video commercial and say, "Hey, Omar, when your team produces this episode, you mind throwing my commercial in there?" 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be able to get it in there. There may be a fee, but it's worth it because you're looking to monetize anyway. Mm-hmm. So you should either come to the podcast with your commercial, audio and video ready to go, and ask the host if they could throw it in there. But you should also have a call to action at the end. That gives you 2 opportunities to have a call to action in your episodes, right? Now, if I was doing a commercial, I mean, I like the basic hook, story, value, offer, kind of like framework. So I would say something like this. Hey, are you looking to make more money and you want to make more money simply just by speaking more? Well, all you need to do is take your knowledge or information that you're looking to learn and package that information into content or a podcast or a framework and just start speaking more about that. So if you want to learn how you can take your expertise and make more by speaking more, head over to speakmoremakeMoremasterclass.com.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying? So you need to do some type of disruption, right? Or some type of hook, and then either a story or some type of value ad or value position.
You gave a tip.
Yeah, tip, and then just close. And this is the thing. It don't gotta be great. Like you just need to do it. And then I like the strategy is if you're doing virtual podcasts or in person as a guest, ask the host, hey, listen, you got 30 seconds. I want to shoot a commercial for my product. And this is a new set, so it's gonna give me a new background. Do you mind if I just do it? They're most likely gonna say yeah. So now if you're doing that consistently, you're going to get better. You got your commercial with multiple different looks and then use the best one and then just run it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Dude, what's crazy is if you get really good at talking about your solution, I had a guy on a year ago.
Yeah.
And his affiliate, so like, we had an affiliate set up. I think, as far as I know, it was 10%. And his affiliate up to this point has paid well over 12 grand, which means he made 120K probably off this, podcast we did together. And something I thought he did very tactfully without having to like throw an ad as a guest was he like you said, about frameworks. Like he would he has to almost every question about his expertise. And this is for everyone. If you want to be the best, you should have frameworks around the predictable questions you all get asked.
Yeah.
Because when you answer it in a way where you're saying like, oh yeah, the thing we do here at the video department, or like the way I coach my students, it's actually like pre-framing people that like, this is what you do. And that was a very tactful way to do it. And when I say tactful, I mean like it's not so addy. You don't even know you're being sold while you're being sold.
100%. Yeah.
Which is an inherent value that podcast and long form does. Period. Is just by offering so much value. The law of reciprocity is if you vibe with a person, you just like, I wonder what they got going on.
Yeah. I want to do more.
Yeah, I want to do more. But I do like the angle where you just like, you can literally have a dedicated ad. I think if you're putting out consistent content as the owner of the content, have your own ad to your own thing, whatever that may be.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
But I like the way you framed, the way you said that one, like a question in the form of a hook, an enrollee question. Something that you did was it had a desire tied into it. Like you want the person to say, yeah, when you ask that question.
Yeah, have a buy-in.
Yeah. And then you gave a tip. You gave it like you can do this by simply doing this. And then the call to action to the thing, which is good. That's, by the way, like YouTube intro hook frameworks too.
I think we tend to like overthink it.
Yeah.
Right. For some reason, content is looked at differently than, let's say, having a baby, for instance. Like a baby's gonna take 9 months, right? So that means there's time. But when you make content, you're like, I need a result right now. Yeah. And I think people just you gotta fall in love with. I know that I would say fall in love with the process, but I like the idea of like changing the metric. Because if you change the metric from like views, likes, shares, and downloads to like, I'm just going to create content every single day because this is something that I'm challenging myself to do. But I know the more content I make, I can help somebody. Yeah. And let that be the metric. The byproduct of that is going to be money.
Yeah, right.
Always. Or book a call.
Yeah.
So you just need to change the metric. So if somebody produced one piece of content a day for the whole year, I mean, that's 365 pieces of content. And most people are not doing that. I mean, you could do that. I mean, arguably, you could do that in a month or two. Right. Technically, if you're really on it. That Country Wayne. I saw a clip he put up the other day. Are you familiar with Country Wayne?
How is that?
He makes content on Facebook and social media, but he produces about 1,000 pieces of content a month. Skits. And wow. it just made me think. Like, obviously, you're gonna have some winners, you're gonna have some losers. But you're getting better every single time. Yep. The producers are getting better. The writers are getting better. The actors are getting better. Your ideas are getting better. You get more in flow. That's why Kobe was so great because he practiced 3 times a day, 3-4 times a day. Most NBA players, they practice once at practice. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He was doing his own training and his own drilling and his own conditioning, and his own shooting. Plus that. So of course he was going to be the greatest. Right. So you just have to do more. That's why like the whole like speak more, make more thing, to me, it just makes sense. The more you speak and you actually have something to share and to provide a solution, you're going to make more.
Hey, department fam, wanted to take a brief break from this conversation. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. And the first thing I wanted to talk about is that, did you know that 75% of the people that watch this podcast on YouTube actually aren't subscribed, which is a high chance that you're not subscribed. So number one, I want to say thank you for listening or watching the podcast. And number two, if you can hit that subscribe button, that would be amazing. The second thing is, if you are an entrepreneur, content creator, or somebody looking to make money online, I want to encourage you to come to this online event called the Content to Cash Challenge. This is a special 5-day event that's going to give you access to the system I use in my business to make multiple 6 figures with my content. If you've been desiring to either get your business and brand more exposure, grow a YouTube channel, whatever it is when it comes to video, I would encourage you to jump into the Content to Cash Challenge. We'll be sure to post the link to the challenge down in the show notes or the description. And I want to encourage you to jump into the VIP experience. This will give you access to a 1-hour Q&A call every day of the challenge. This will guarantee myself to answer a personalized question you may have. So I'll see you on the Content to Cash Challenge. Now let's jump back into the conversation. So I want to maybe like, it's not pushback, but just I want to be like devil's advocate here. And that is people who create content consistently and they just, Omar, I've just been posting it, right? But it's not catching, or it's not, and you see that there is no development in the delivery of the content itself, the way they're showing up, maybe even what they're wearing. It doesn't, like, the way it looks, like they're not considering the audience in their content. They're just, I'm showing up every week,
Yeah.
Like, how do you leverage content to become a better speaker?
Then you got to hire somebody like you. You got to get a coach, bro. Because you don't know what you don't know. You could be doing the same thing over and over and over and then get frustrated because you're not gonna get a result, right? But once you get some guidance, or you get someone that can look at what you're doing from like a different lens, then they can give you some strategies and some tips so you can improve. So maybe that same person, his lighting was terrible. Or maybe he always shot content in a big space, so like the audio would echo,
right,
bounce off the walls. Or maybe he always started off with, all right, guys, like every video started off with that. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's not, he or she's not going to know that because they're just doing what they think, because they're just in their space. They need someone like you to say, hey, let's break down what you got going on and let's work on it from a different lens. Good. Maybe they got an iPhone 10, which still works, but you can upgrade to a 16. Automatically, boom, that's going to change the clarity problem. Right. Maybe you just order, an entry-level mic from Amazon. So now you got the audio and video dialed in. Then you get a tripod. Okay, cool. You got a station now. You good at this point. And then maybe this person was just editing it, but they wasn't using like an app to clean it up. I mean, maybe you're going to use captions. I don't know if CapCut's still available, but like whatever apps are available, now you at least have the basics. Now you can work on, hey, listen, so you're in, I don't know, the insurance space. Why don't we search for insurance content on social media, see what's hitting, right? And save those and review those, and let's just make your version. Make our version of that. Right? It doesn't even have to be in the same environments, but the tone, the scripting, the framing. Like one of my favorite creators is Brian Mark. I think you familiar with Brian Mark? Out of Canada.
Who? No, I don't.
Brian Mark, no.
Maybe if I see him.
But what I like about him is like every video he's teaching, training, and sharing all at the same time. So it's like framing. All his videos is about 4 frames minimum. So it's like he's going to deliver the information, but he's going to deliver it in 4 different frames. They're like mini movies. Okay. So I love that. And I adopted that in my content. So I'm going to break down what I'm saying for the most part into 4 or 5 frames. Intro, value. Maybe I'm in different positions or in different places. So it kind of keeps people's attention. They're like, oh, he's in somewhere different. Oh, he's this way. So that's going to keep it. Then he's someone that's very boisterous. So his voice carries, which is energy. I'm attracted to that, right? So how does someone speak? What's their tonality like, right? And then having a clear call to action to send somewhere, even if it's just follow for more, is good. That's enough of a framework to get you going. And then just like you said earlier, the reps. So maybe I'll just do 30 of those, post them without worrying about the result, and see what happens. At that point. You're already going to improve just from those. Yeah, that's fire. So you said it quickly, but because when you're saying framing, you're saying like breaking it up, but you said teaching. What'd you say the 3 things he was doing? He does that at the same time. He does teaching, the speaking, and the framing. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess because people want to get on stages. That's like a desire. Like I just want my message to be put, and you want the cosign of other people and all that stuff. But we're living in a time where
everyone has the permission to build their own stage.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm seeing the value of having that. Like, I have my own stage. I actually don't speak much. I mean, I kind of would like to speak more, kind of. I say kind of because I don't like to travel and be away from family all the time. But dude, we just posted a podcast a couple of weeks ago. We got 55,000 views. I'm not going to speak in front of 55,000 people anytime soon.
Yeah.
But it's a stage. And I think sometimes we,
but Omar, is it though?
It's,
you know what I'm saying?
It's a virtual stage.
That's what I'm saying. And some people be like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
It's not the same. But it's actually, in my opinion, I think it's even better.
Why?
Because you get to control your environment. Okay, let's say you were booked to speak. And you were booked to speak in front of that 55,000 people. And you had to fly somewhere. And let's say you did a good job, but it was okay. Right? Could you recreate that tomorrow?
Nope.
Could you recreate that next week?
No.
You might not even get the contract again.
And not all 55,000 were there for you.
100%. Now, this is the thing. If you do your online stage, if the internet died in the middle of you doing your presentation, you could literally email, text everybody, be like, yo, we going back at it tomorrow.
Yep.
Right? And maybe not everyone shows up, but 90% of people show up. You can get way more reps and you can have way more control of your production, way more control of your flow, put on an actual fire presentation if it's virtual.
Yeah.
Like now, like, I don't know if you do this now, but every time I do a virtual, I always have a countdown. And it's like countdown recap of what I got going on. So it could be a countdown recap of me speaking, countdown recap of testimonials. So you enter the stage. So the first 10 minutes is just framing, but then also showing authority, but then getting you warmed up. Yeah. Right. Because I always hate it when like you'll go to someone's class and it's like, all right, y'all, we about to get started. And you wait and there's like literally nothing going on. So it's like, this is my version of previews, but it's actually like high level quality preview. Yeah.
You know? And I think having a countdown with B-roll of you in your element,
that's dope.
It builds brand and it's wasted space. I mean, you could either use up that space and let people see like, oh, they connect with those people. Like, oh, dang, he'd be all over the place. Like, and by all over the place, I mean like, oh, they shake hands with people. Like that's literally as simple
or like
as
Art said, they got motion.
Yeah, they got motion, bro. No, dude. So you said like a fire presentation.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people want to say things, but they don't know how to say it, or maybe they have nothing to say, but they know there's a message somewhere. How do you help people like extract that message and create that fire presentation?
So the first thing I would say is you definitely need to, you definitely need to either be in your subject matter or be seeking a subject matter. So what I mean is like, so I'm in media. So what I'm doing is getting better at the space that I'm in. So that could be speaking, that could be teaching people how to monetize, that can be like what my agency does, help people get more exposure by putting them on places. So I'm gonna get deeper in this subject matter.
Yep.
So since we were kind of talking about insurance earlier, well, I keep bringing it up. If I'm someone that's just getting my license, or if I'm somebody that's already in that space, number one is I need to get deep on that. Like, what are the products? What are the ones to stay away from? What are the ones that we should actually be encouraging more? What are some of the things that people, the misnomers out there that I can dispel? Right. And I would continue to just get deep into my information, become that authority, that expert. Once I have that and I'm not speaking, then I'll get a framework. How can I take this information and then turn it into a signature talk?
Good.
Right. And then how do I do the signature talk? You could go to YouTube and say, hey, what's the signature talk framework? You can go to ChatGPT. What's my signature talk framework? Once I have that information, then I will work on my delivery, right? Because I don't want to lecture to people. I want them to be entertained. I want them to be excited. Then I would take my signature talk and I'll put that in the presentation. If somebody would have told me when I was in school that you can make 6, 7, even 8 figures from a presentation on PowerPoint, I probably would have paid attention a little bit more. Yeah. But you can use PowerPoint, you can use Keynote, you use Canva, you can use Google Slides, and then you want to take your signature talk and turn it into a presentation, right? Now, when you have your presentation, you want to fill it and make it, you want to make it prolific, but also profound, but I would say interesting as well, right? So what are the different places you can do that? Are there pauses? Can you add in some social media content videos, some YouTube videos that would kind of support your claims? Do you have testimonials in there? Are there brands that you can do, a compare, a contrast that might be in the same subject or maybe outside of it, but are relevant to your point? Bring in some things that people can connect to. Once you have that and you decide, you know what, I just want to go ahead and do it, then I would just go to Zoom and I would just do a Zoom registration link. You don't need to worry about a funnel at this point. You don't got to worry about Zoom for free.
Turn on it. You put a call on the calendar and you click the lever that says have people register for this call.
Yep. And then you go to edit and make sure you add in the number. So now you get name, number, email, because Zoom is just going to automatically give you name and email.
Oh, wow.
But if you want to get the number, once you set the class up, on the right hand side, there's a button that says edit right next to your class. Hit edit, right? And then you can add number. So now when people register, you got name, number, and email. So then you can follow up.
Yep.
Now you just want to promote your class at this point, right? Promote your presentation. You're the expert. You turn your expertise into a signature talk. You turn your signature talk into a presentation. You turn your presentation to a virtual event, which is your stage.
Mm-hmm.
Now you just need to promote it, get people in a room, and then just present. Now, as you're presenting, you want to do some call and response, keep the energy high, right? And then where are we sending the people at the end? Are you going to send them to another live event? Are you going to book a call because you want people to, maybe get one of your insurance products, right? Do you want to do an assessment? You got to know where you want to send them, have that at the end, and then just do it over and over. Now, to your point, if you needed to do that again, you could literally do it the next day or in 2 days or in 3 days. You're getting better the entire time.
Yep.
Your presentation skills are getting better. You can edit your signature talk. You can edit your presentation. You could try a different call to action, right? You can have a different opening, have a different closing. There's just so many things you can do. You couldn't do all of that if you was getting booked to speak.
Right.
And you would probably only get booked to speak. Most people only get booked maybe 4 times a year to speak, maybe. And this is if they're a speaker, and this is not even paid.
Right.
Because if you don't got the reps or the expertise, no one's just going to pay you unless you're just going to go to high school or college market like all of them do. But then it's extremely competitive, right? Because you got to keep following up, keep sending pitches, right? And why would I book Brenden to speak when I've been booking Omar for the past 4 years,
right? And
I'm paying him $5,000 every November. You're probably not going to get that gig because they like you, so they're just going to keep bringing you back. You're basically in the circuit.
Yeah.
So doing your own online event is the easy way to get to the money way faster.
Yeah, it's really good. Dude, I literally got this DM from one of the guys in my inner circle. It's shout out to Chris. He said, "Yo, Omar, thank you for pushing me out of my comfort zone. I just updated the post in school about my first webinar. So total for my first webinar, he got 21 people on, which people would be like, that's not a lot. He got 21 people on, and he was grateful for it.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And then he pushed a 3-hour workshop from that. And so from that 3-hour workshop, he got, from the 21, he got 4 people to sign up for the 3-hour workshop.
Yeah. So that's about 20%.
20%, which is great.
Yeah.
And he said, I only had 4 people in my virtual workshop, but one of them signed up for my $14,000 coaching package. And I have another gentleman who's considering it right now.
Oh, so I guess a room with 20 people online isn't so bad at all.
Right.
And it sounds like it took them 4 hours.
Total, probably, yeah, right? Somewhere in there.
So, like you said, most people would, this is a funny thing. Most people would frown at a room full of 20 people online.
Yeah.
They would rather do the 20 people in person. But he was able to make 14 grand for what most people would frown at, right? Because he borrowed your confidence, and then he took his information, signature talk, presentation, online class, which is the webinar, and he got 21 people in there, which is great.
Yep.
And 21 people equates to 14,000. That's amazing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he did it, I don't know, comfort of his own home?
Comfort of his own home. Laptop.
Yep.
You know, it's crazy. I interviewed a guy who teaches on tiny challenges. I don't know if you heard of Richmond. And
so what's the tiny challenge, like 2 days, 3 days?
It's however many days, but let's just call it 5.
Okay.
So it's 5 days, and it's just one-on-one. So you hey, I'm looking to work with one person
over 5 days.
Over 5 days, we're gonna show up on Zoom. It's gonna be Zoom for an hour. day one, let's unpack what winning looks like by the end of these 5 days. So this person's literally telling you what they need from you. And then it's like, hey, and then day one, we're also unpacking what does winning look like a year from now. Okay, cool. Let's just table that. And then you help them in 5 days to get whatever result or transformation. Yeah. And then at the end, you give them a custom offer to them. And if you have a group coaching program or a program that is maybe community based, you could feed them into that. And let's just say you do, because you could do a tiny challenge with 2 people in 1 week. That's just 2 hours a day on Zoom, pretty much. So that's a 10-hour week. And let's just say that the show up rate's always usually 100%, and you can charge for it. Like charge for this one-on-one experience. But the idea is just to get people. It's just like it's a great way to start out and to appreciate small numbers.
And again, that brings us back to that's his campaign.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like once you know your campaign, you locked in on it and you're like, yo, I'm doing this for the whole year.
Yep.
You're gonna be good. There's so much that you're gonna benefit from that. You just have to lock on, okay, I'm doing the tiny challenges. Yeah. All 2025. Right.
Dude, when I made that hard decision last year, changed everything. It's like, okay, we're gonna do where YouTube is number 1. We're going to send people to the challenge. To get more people in the challenge, I'm going to do this one signature talk. It's a web class.
Yeah.
So that sells tickets. And then I had one offer all year. It was my first 7-figure year in business. Was all just bing, 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 bing.
Campaign, locked in.
Dude, here's the framework. I'm going to give it. You could use it. I mean, you could take it or I'm going to take it. IP, whatever. But it's content.
Yeah.
Campaign. And then maybe it's conversion.
I think we should just do a class on it.
Yeah.
I got to come to Vegas in a couple of months because I'm going to do this tour. It's like 7 cities, 7 workshops. We should just do the Vegas one. Content campaign, conversion.
Yeah. I mean, that's really, and like when you say it's like, there's power in picking, right?
Yeah. Art, can you text me that before you forget? Text me that before you forget.
the power in picking.
Content campaign and conversion.
Yeah. It's picking the platform that you want to focus on. I think most people shouldn't focus on every platform.
Yeah.
Just focus on one.
I think two. I think you need a social media one, and I think you need YouTube.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, I'm biased. I always want people to go, because if you automatically go YouTube, you automatically get other social platforms.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because
but I never want to, but my thing is like, this is just on a personal note.
Yeah.
I feel like I never want to prescribe one way of doing something. Like there's people in my group, they know I'm like gung-ho on YouTube, but they're making multiple 6 figures like crazy just using Instagram. And that's cool.
Yeah.
They do have a desire to eventually get to YouTube, but dude, if Instagram is doing it for you, Instagram's doing it for you. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think YouTube, because of the shelf life. Yeah. The content lives for a long time.
I had YouTube solve a problem for me the other day on Zoom, because we were talking about the registrations. You know how you get the contacts?
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out how do I download these.
Oh, like export the CSV
file. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, But to your point, the video was 4 years old. So this video, this guy made 4 years old, helped me 4 years into the future.
It's crazy.
And I probably wasn't even on that 4 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the shelf life is insane. And it's searchable. You're not searching up nothing on Instagram.
Right. And they keep saying that they are, like TikTok is like they're saying.
Yeah, TikTok's kind of like that.
Like search, there's some search, but yeah, it's goated. YouTube is goated because of that. And it had that guy. Not saying you had a need that you just needed to fix real quick, but if he was the expert on Zoom, and there was maybe something that was like, maybe it was like a crazy offer. Well, we'll run your Zoom call for you, or I don't know.
Yeah.
4 years ago could have just been selling.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna have one of my friends does that because she's doing my challenges. So if I get her to do my workshops too, but that's a legit offer because that's really just producing.
Yeah. No, I realize what I do with my coach and Zoom stuff is actually like, it's pretty advanced.
Yeah.
And like, if you're doing it all alone, it can be overwhelming.
There's a lot going on for sure.
Yeah.
No, I like that.
Yeah. But okay, yeah. So create your own stage, like, and
do it consistently.
Yeah, I think it's if you got invited to speak on, like, let's just say, and you knew people were going to show up at some capacity between 120 or 200 people. How many times would you do it if you had the time to do it? I would say you should do it every time.
I would do it every single time.
One of our early podcasts was with a friend. His name is Manny Arango. He's an evangelist, church planner, phenomenal communicator. And one of his things when he said, one way to get great at communication, obviously the tip is like, yeah, you got to get reps, but you kind of need reps that don't hurt you either way. Like, I forgot what he called it, but it was something when he was coming up as a youth pastor, his pastor was like, go to the elderly home and preach to them.
Yeah.
It's
makes sense.
I forgot what he meant by what he called it, but it was something like whether like you have nothing to lose by just showing. Literally, you have nothing to lose by showing up to like a Zoom call.
Yeah,
and offering value. You know, there's a lady in our group that she did her web class twice and had a dozen people on both times, and like nobody took that next step. And I mean, she's getting it out there. I mean, I actually watched it for her, and I came up with a really good list. I just need a way to present it in a way where it's not like a lot like heavy, but it's like she's just teaching a lot. Like she's just over teaching,
yeah.
Which is actually like a concept I realize most people don't understand.
Yeah, I got a friend that does that. He's actually one of my clients. I have him do this first workshop, and he converted, but he hasn't really converted since like that. Mm-hmm. And when we dialed it back, just because he was over teaching.
Yeah, over teaching. Can you define what are some red flags?
Yeah.
Or indicators. What are some indicators to know that you're over teaching?
Well, number one is if you're over talking, like if you're just talking too much.
But if I'm doing a web class and I'm just being devil's advocate here, I have to be the one talking the whole time.
Yeah, so if you're talking too much on the subject. So let's say we're talking about secret number one or reveal number one or whatever.
Let's just say you're helping somebody buy a home.
All right, so if I'm helping someone buy a home, this is actually pretty good because I used to be a realtor, right? So let's say we use a framework that I actually have, because I wrote a book on this too, helping realtors, generate more leads without ads. The book was called Real Leads, No Ads, right? So I would say if secret number one would be, I would create, let's say, an ebook with every single step that a buyer needs to go through that now has them more prepared to work with you. Mm-hmm. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Now I might go over what those steps are, credit, 2 years of taxes, whatever, what those steps are. And I'll just say, hey, you want to put this in the checklist. That's it. Now I might add some color and some character and show them how they can easily get in it, but I'm not going to be talking about that for 10, 15 minutes.
Okay. I'll tell you how you can talk about it for 10 minutes. If it's one of the points.
Yeah, but I'm saying, are we talking about not over talking? Right. Is what I'm saying. So I'm not delivering that in like a minute.
Right.
I'm it might be like 5 to 6 minutes. Right. But it's not a 15 to.
But it's sharing like the what.
Yeah.
So like, here's the what. You need to create a checklist.
Yeah.
But when you create this checklist, here's what it's going to do for you.
Yes.
And it's like the power of checklists. Mm-hmm. And then you could talk for another 2 minutes about the power of having something like this.
100%.
And then like you're not over teaching by
on that information.
Emphasizing
now you just kind of bring some. That's what I'm saying. You bring the color. The support.
That's what you meant by color.
Yeah, you're bringing support around.
I was like, dang, what Canva slide decks or something? Okay.
Yeah. You're bringing the richness.
Yeah.
So you're not over talking about the subject matter, because you could be like, yeah, so once they get the credit fixed, then these are all the different ways you can do that, and then now they got 2 years of taxes, and
then dude,
by the time
people are spinning.
Like, So yeah, I would you identify the 4 or 5 points that make the most impact, deliver it in a way that most people are gonna feel like it's gonna be mind blowing, or it's gonna be a new lens that they didn't look at it in.
Yep.
And then we talked about call and response, but I like playing around with my the people that attend because I want them to have fun.
Yeah.
Because if they loosen up and they have fun and they're engaging, then most likely the conversion is going to be better, but they're going to stay. They're going to stick.
Yep.
And I want them to stick to the end. I think the last 3 classes I did, I had like a 90% sticking rate. Wow. And I was excited about that. Now, did 90% people buy? No, but it told me that my delivery and my presentation skills are improving because I get people sticking to the end. Right. You know what I mean?
Which is what you want people to do.
That's what you want to do.
Because that's when you're giving your offer.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking indicators that you're over teaching.
Yeah. So that would be
So it's just like jargon.
Yeah, jargon's crazy.
So something you mentioned is like call and response or engagement. Sometimes I think what will happen is they'll ask like these open-ended questions. And when you ask an open-ended question that doesn't either have a simple answer or you don't tell them the answer to put in the chat, you're letting them like leave what you're teaching. So like, this example, she's like, so where are people thinking about moving? Is it like North Vegas, Summerlin? It's like, or you could say, hey, who here is ready to take their life to the next level and start a legacy here in Vegas, as one of the fastest growing cities in America? Put me in the chat. It's like, it's a different way.
Yeah.
You're not making people have to work or think when you're asking those questions. Something I've noticed that like there's an amateur way of trying to get people to answer, but then it can get awkward because then and that's why it's awkward. It's because it's like, and like when people do this in person, they go, hey, by a show of hands, if anybody in this room would say to themselves that over the last 6 months, it's like it's just dragging
off. Yeah.
Nobody's gonna raise their hand.
Yeah,
but if you go, hey, if you're ready to 10x your results over the next 6 months, say I, and then it's like, dude, people they just go with it.
Yeah.
What are some other tips, like little tweaks?
I would say like clean up your slides.
Don't put too much on your slides.
You could have, so I think there's a couple of things with that. You could reduce what's on the slides, but I think reducing what's on the slides is pro level because now you got to be able to like, you know what I'm saying?
Go off script.
100%. And once you go deeper in your information, you could do that.
Yes.
You're like, oh, this is the word, and you're just going to go crazy because you know what you need to do. But I think reducing the information on the slides when you're ready for it, but also I think reducing the amount of slides because the same thing, let's say we're talking about, that first, that secret number one or whatever. If you might have 10 slides in there, 20 slides in there of the same thing because you dragging it on.
Yep.
But you don't need to do that. You could deliver the information. And then like you said, make sure people are engaged, right, in the chat. Make sure you're not over delivering the information, dragging the information on. And then just having a nice little tonality. Sometimes your tonality makes a huge difference. So I think reducing the slides and then just being a little bit more better with your tone, to me, helps.
That's good.
Yeah, but I think again, it's pro level. If you're ready to reduce the amount of slides, you have to know what you got going on.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'll just let a picture. I'll just this my friend X. What's crazy about him, and then boom, I just go into a little story.
That's pro level.
And
Everyone
then like
can do that though.
And then the story leads to a one slide, bomb dropper.
Yeah.
And then people go crazy, and that's the principle.
Yeah.
But what's funny is you say pro level because like it's a wild thing. And this is why you need to just keep doing it and keep getting the reps in. But it's crazy how it's a pro level to not overteach. Because like one would think that it's pro to teach like crazy, but no, it's actually pro to actually wheel it back and like just show a level of meekness, power under control is pro level. And then also it's pro level to to know what you should share and what you shouldn't share.
You gotta be flexible.
Yeah.
Because every class you do, even though it may be the same subject matter, the delivery may not be the same. The information may slightly change, but then also you have to think about who's in this room today and then what feedback and engagement, because that might cause you to deliver something different, or it might cause you to say something different or have a different level of ideation. And then you can make edits and pivot in real time.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, oh, this thing made me think about something Myron said. Oh, I found a clip. I added that into one of the slides. So now when I get to the point, I play that video, and now they're more engaged because he's doubling down on something that I said to them, and he's an authority. Yeah. So now they locked in, but now I brought in an element that's going to keep their attention because it's visual. Right. And and that's not me. I'm not over sliding, over teaching. I'm just adding in something that's co-signing, right, what I already said. And then I'm moving on. Y'all with me? Drop me in the chat. Means it's dropping. You know what I'm saying? So it's like things like that I think are good. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever have a flop story? Do you have like a flop story where you like
showed up and no one was there?
it does. I mean, for me, mine's actually different than a lot of people.
Okay.
I showed up and everybody was there.
Yeah, but
and
you wasn't there?
and no one bought.
Oh, that's not a flop though.
That is a flop.
No, it's not.
In when I look back, I'm like, I know what I did wrong
Yeah.
now looking back. But I mean, can you share a little bit just to encourage people? Like,
Yeah. So this is a flop. A flop would be, this is a good flop.
okay.
Flop would be everything set up. You got the funneling. You know what I'm saying? You're running ads to the funnel. You're running ads to a creative to send people to your free class. You get to the free class, ain't nobody there. But you done spent like $3,000-$4,000 to get them in the class and no one's there. That's a flop that costs you money, right? Another flop, I've been in classes, 0 people, 1 person, but I'll still do it though, because it's like going to the basketball court, just you with the ball.
Yep.
You working on your dribbling and your shooting. It's like, I'm still going to get better whether they show up or not. So when they show up the next time. And then a flop that I feel like is common, I don't know if it's spoke about a lot. Oh, actually, I got another one too. Is internet, bro. You in the middle of your thing.
Oh yeah.
The internet go or freeze up crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be hardlined.
I've been there a couple of times. And I think another flop that can be avoided would be, let's say you're doing a class with someone and y'all are collaborating on it. You have to know if y'all are aligned, you know? Because one time I did a class and I let the other person go first. And really, they were supposed to set the stage for like 10 minutes. And I was supposed to come in there and just go crazy. They taught for like 70 minutes, bro.
And you were just waiting.
I'm like texting on the sidelines, like, what are we doing? Like, you're giving a whole presentation that I didn't even know that you was going to give with slides that are not the slides that we supposed to go over.
Wow. So
by the time I went in there, it was like half the room had left, because what he was teaching on, it wasn't for transformation. It was it was almost like fulfillment.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So then when I got on, I had to like dig out of that. You had to bring the energy up just at even neutral, so then I could blast off. But the good thing about it was I had 2 people close. So with half the class, I still got 2 people to buy, which was good. But that might be pro level too, because you have to be able to like navigate that, bring the energy back up, know what you're doing, have call and response, keep the engagement, and still feel comfortable that, damn, they've been sitting on this Zoom for almost 3 hours.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's just being good at sales. You understanding the buyer's state of mind. My friend did a Zoom with like, when I came on, I think there was like 750 people. There was more than that. There was 1,500 people when I showed up. Yeah, 1,500 people. And I wasn't on. I was just in the back. I was a panelist. And the guy teaching, one of the guests, he was just teaching, and it was like, this app, and it's like, bro, and like it was going down. And then he brought up somebody else, and like I was just waiting in the background whenever he called, because my goal was to just like amp up people to buy a in-person ticket to an in-person event, which is like, there's so many logistical and logic buying decisions to make in the moment, but still all buyers are emotional buyers. You got to get people to feel like buying. Yeah. And so I'm sitting there.
That's such a gem. That's a whole nother. That's a whole nother thing.
I realized that like I got really good at sales. Yeah. But anyway, that's beside the point. I'm gonna slowly bring it into the audience, because I want to teach it my way. Because I've learned it, through the last couple of years, and you've seen the come up, Yeah. But I put myself in the shoes of the people that are still on. Okay, if you're still on and you didn't buy a ticket, what are you thinking right now? Like that's and so then I like text my friend. I'm like, get me up. The numbers are dropping. Get me up, bro. and I come up and I say, man. And at first I address the thought, like, you're probably thinking to yourself, like, hey, by the way, I'm Omar. I'm somebody who, like, usually people see me as an expert. So like what I did was I brought down my humanity. Yeah. And I was like, I've attended this event 3 years in a row. This will be my 4th year as an attendee. And every time, and then it's like talking about the power of the room and talking about the power of the person. And then I talk about like when I went to an event with my current business coach, and I'm looking back at my timeline of success, and it all stemmed from going to that one event. It was Offer Mastery. Yeah. Like everything revolved around attending that event. But here's what I did. And I talked about the conversation I had with my wife. Because I know that's what like the spouses are doing. Like these are all just like premeditated objections.
Yeah.
Like I remember asking my wife, "Hey babe, you know, I think I should go to this event." And she said, "You should go." And then I talk about having a supportive wife and how like if you're asking them because they don't trust you, then this is why you need to go to events like this, because you haven't like done what you said you were set out to do. You said, I'm going to provide for this household if you're a man, and then you're still struggling, and it's because you're stuck. But anyway, that's besides the point. It's not a marriage class.
Let's table that.
Let's table that. But I said, but then here's what's so cool about Amanda. And this is a true story. That's what's cool about sales. If you're telling a true story, it's easier. It's more believable, obviously, because it's true. And so I just go on to say like, hey, she was like, I think you should fly first class. Let's buy a boot. She's like, I believe this is your moment. Like, and we're gonna act differently. Because after this, everything's gonna change. And then
shout out to the wife.
Yeah, no, for real. And I'm just talking, and I'm like, I'm gassing up the people. I'm like, for some of you, you guys have literally been debating like my next level is out there. And one is just, you don't treat yourself like your next level, and you are next level. So, and I made a crazy claim. Here's my claim was, there's currently 750 people on this call. Under the sound of my voice, you have my word. If you are a part of this 750, if you buy your ticket right now and you don't get the transformation you're looking for, Omar El-Takori will refund you your money for your ticket. And then Neil said, he's like, bro, like 30 sales at the end of a call, of a 2-hour call. And then some people DM me, hey bro, I bought a ticket. Thanks for, and it was all because I was so consumed, or I was forcing myself to be consumed of the mindset somebody's in, as to why they're still debating this. And that's what, sales and persuasion, simply getting somebody out of their own way to take action on the thing that'll be good for them, you know?
Pro level, bro.
Pro level. So,
you know what I'm saying? That's pro level.
Yeah. But it all came from reps. It came from conversations. Not just conversations about sales, but conversations with people who say like, Omar, you're the guy, here's my problem. And then what they're doing is they're literally telling you the way they think about their problem.
But that's the secret with it, bro. Cause if you're able to do this and you create your own stage, virtual, or this podcast, you're able to have those conversations, interact with different people, bring on certain people that you want to basically, like learn from, or just have a conversation with, or be inspired by. Imagine you're like, oh man, Kevin Hart's my guy, or something like that. And then because it's a platform that you created, you have the opportunity to have them sit here, and then you can, like that's so powerful.
Right.
And everyone can do that.
Right. Yeah, man. Appreciate you. This is very helpful. You're going to create content consistently. You're going to choose a campaign.
Choose your campaign, bro.
And then you're going to work on conversion.
You're going to work on conversion. And then as you work on your conversion, then you get to be pro level.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a huge separator, because all the things that you talked about, and I kind of alluded to as well, you only get that when you get better. And you can only get better by doing the thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I love how Myron defines mastery. He says mastery, because mastery is another word for pro level.
Pro level, yeah.
But mastery or pro level is simply the ability to execute a task without the use of conscious resource. So the reason why we're really good at tying our shoes, because we can have a conversation and literally tie our shoes. At one point we were like, like Ruby right now, she can't tie her shoe. Even if we spend like all the energy in that moment, it's all about tying the shoe. But that's when you realize you hit that level of mastery. And I honestly, I'm still surprising myself. The last challenge we did, once I got off the offer call, me and Art looked at each other and we're like, bro, that was wild. I had a story or something to say about every objection that came. Yeah. And for some people,
you heard them all.
Yeah, I've heard them all. Yeah. And it's just having these, like another form of mastery is like, having this arsenal that maybe you don't write it down. Maybe you should write it down. Some people should actually write down the story or type it out or so that it could stick with you better. But you should have these like things that you could pull out at any moment.
Yeah, I agree.
And most if you, especially if you're locking in, you're teaching one thing, or you're being an expert around one idea or one thing, there should be some questions you've already gotten, and connecting a story to answer those questions or objections or whatever you want to call it is one of the most powerful things you can do, because it puts people in a place to really consider, to make sure that their question or objection isn't an excuse. And that's all it is. Because sometimes that's usually all objections are. They're just excuses packaged as something else.
Yeah.
And to dig through that is just, it takes a level of compassion to care enough to come up with ways that people can like really get out of their own way.
And I think when you separate, let's say, wanting that outcome to be a sale from that, then you can sit into it more.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, listen, I was there, to be honest with you. Like, I remember being afraid to invest the $10,000 because I didn't know where I was going to get it from. Or, you know, I had some money saved up, but I had like 3 credit cards, and I was ashamed I had to break it up over the 3 credit cards, and then not knowing if I can pay the rent. I was there, to be honest, but I decided to invest in myself and bet on myself. And I knew that I needed to take this step that made me feel uncomfortable to generate enough energy to do the thing that I told myself that I really wanted to do.
Right. So good. Appreciate you, bro. Where can people connect with you? Where can people find you?
Man, where can they find me?
Miami, Florida.
For real. Pull up. When you pulling up, actually?
Dude, I don't like flying across. I'm going to Tampa this, because there's...
Okay, yeah. Well, it was like 40-minute flight, bro.
Yeah,
anytime.
Maybe I could hop on over.
Yeah. When was the dates?
Literally, I'm leaving Sunday. I'm planning on coming back Wednesday night.
Okay. I mean, yeah, if you got time, bro, it's not a bad place to be. So yeah, you can find me at It's Brenden Boyd across all platforms, social media and YouTube. And we do got the class. We do got the Speak More, Make More masterclass. So we're gonna be breaking down pretty much the framework that we talked about, and helping people that already have expertise generate more revenue by adding in the speaking piece, and then how to leverage it and make more money with it. Or if you're someone that is learning, you want to get into a new skill, how do we actually monetize the speaking, adding on to you learning whatever that new skill is.
Good
so
stuff.
We'll put that down below.
Yeah, it'll be linked up. Appreciate you for being on. I'm glad we were able to run this back. I think the timing was appropriate.
Yeah, man. I definitely appreciate it. I always encourage people to get on podcasts. Like get on podcasts. Do at least one. If you do one podcast a week for the whole year, it's 52 weeks. You're gonna be a better speaker, a better presenter. More people are gonna know about who you are and what you do. You're gonna have more content as a result of it.
Right.
And by default, you're already gonna be an authority and expert, because if you take all that content and then you redistribute it across your social media platforms, you're gonna be the one.
Yep.
Your competition is not gonna do it.
Right.
We already know it. So you're gonna be you're definitely gonna be the one.
Appreciate you, bro. Thanks for being on. Let's grab a bite if you can.
Let's do it. And we got to run it back on my show now, because it's been
a while.
Like 3 years at least. Yeah, at least 3 years.
Yeah, bro. I charge now, so
that's cool.
No, I'm just kidding. All right. Appreciate you.
All right, man.